You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 11th, 2025 meeting of the LaPorte County Drainage Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Call the meeting of the LaPorte County Drainage Board meeting to order. Stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mark Scarborough.
Here.
Chad Herchis.
Here.
Connie Grammarosa.
Present.
Jeff Mitzner.
Present.
Pat Vance.
Here.
John Matwishin.
Here.
Can I have approval of minutes from last month's meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. First item on the agenda is going to be the Scipio Sunrise Urban Drain Maintenance Project.
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead and state your name and address.
Robin Verda, 10516 West 129th, Cedar Lake, Indiana. I'm here for Scipio Sunrise and taking over for Lou DeYoung.
Okay, John, were you out and looked at that?
Yeah, John and myself went out there. We met with Gene Schwartz and Brad Kaser. We walked the basins. There's Gene there. We discussed what the plan was to do the maintenance, and the consensus we came to was that they would rather just do a control burn at this time on the basins instead of doing the actual full-scale maintenance.
That's okay. That's how it was. Fire department came out. That's how it was. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you asking from us then?
Basically just maintenance of the drainage area after the cattails. The reason why they weren't burnt down the last couple of times was because there was a no burn ordinance. So more grew up. So we could do it now, hopefully, at the right time.
Well, I don't see a problem with that as long as you coordinate that with Scipio Township Fire Department.
Okay, well, that's what we've been done in the
Everybody-
past. Yeah,
Yeah, I believe Gene's been in contact with the fire chief there already. Right.
yeah. Want to come up? Okay,
Come on up.
it doesn't matter, yeah.
Go ahead, come on up.
They all look like that.
Well, let's realistically start from the beginning.
No, this is
Have to talk to the mic. State your name and address, please.
Gene Schwartz, I live at 3794 South Big Bear Trail. And I own the property on the east side of Basin 3. If we go back in history, and the correspondence that I got was they changed the drawings on the basins from the original plan. When I met Lou DeYoung back in 2019, when I was going to go ahead and purchase the property, he gave me a set of drawings that were dated 6/30/06. The recent set of drawings I have are dated July of '06. They showed the basins at a certain depth, and back then they were considered detention basins. Since that time, the basins, according to the new drawings, are at a 6-foot depth of level. They show a water level at 2 feet above the bottom of the basin. My main concern is not basin 2 or 4. Okay, Lou put a well in because he sold these properties as the whole subdivision was supposed to have 3 wet ponds for fishing. And I have a brochure that he gave me back at that time.
Yeah, he only made 15 of them brochures and it didn't work for him either. Just so you know.
So somewhere down the line, they changed that he wanted to make them fishing ponds. I don't know if he ever came back to you guys and said, all right, here's the new set of drawings. We want to dig these down now. But according to Haas and Associates, well, first off, Robert Palm did the original drawings, and I don't even know if he's still alive or not, because I talked to one of his associates. Palm and Associates closed down. They've actually changed hands 4 times since then. So if he changed the drawings to be dry basins, nobody can find those drawings. And the archives from Palm and Associates are no longer available. The ponds have been in existence for 15 years. We've never had an issue, and I'm sorry to say, I was the one that opened Pandora's box about this. And I'm trying to close it right now. We had an issue with all the cattails. I've gone out there since I bought the property and cut them down with a weed whacker when the pond was frozen. And they've just gotten out of control. We can't go ahead and let them keep producing the way they are, or the ponds are going to be completely covered. Basin 2 is so overgrown that if something should happen, we're going to go ahead and be in a California wildfire. There is completely covered, it's dry, but I would not suggest anybody go in there and do any cutting because in Basin 3, when I was doing some cleaning out on my side, I ran across big pieces of metal, I ran across a tire wheel, other obstructions that were just thrown in there, I guess at the time of construction. So if anybody wants to go ahead and try cutting them down, who knows what they're going to run into and just destroy their blades or cutting apparatus. But back in
There. 2006.
let me get my years straight here. Back in 2009, it seems like all of this went away because Rick McVeigh, I don't even know if he's still around anymore, but he was the person on the board dealing with all this. 2009, you guys, well, I should say 2006, you guys established this assessment of $6,000 a year. In 2009, the whole thing just went away. If you would have been accumulating money for this purpose since 2009, give me 1 second.
It's 27 cases.
Right. Okay. So, for the past 19 years, if you guys would have accumulated the assets that you imposed on this, $6,675, we would have had funds of $126,000.
That's not exactly how it works. If a fund reaches a cap, eventually it gets turned off, which is likely what happened.
Correct.
Here. So,
But that's what I'm saying. That if you would have used this cap back then and then just restarted accumulating into the cap, maintenance would have been performed every year of just coming out and at least spraying the ponds to stop vegetation. I don't believe there's any sediment that much because I've walked the ponds when they were wet I did sink some, but not to the point that it would go over my waders. There has been water in Basin 3 ever since I moved in. There was Basin 4 was filled up at one point, and it dried out, I believe, in 21, and there had to be 100 fish carcasses laying in the mud, which was not a good smell for a while.
So help me out. Are these connected together, or are they all individual ponds?
No,
Are they connected together by a pipe, or are they all individual ponds?
they are connected by pipes. The drawing shows that the elevation has two pipes. One is a leveling pipe, and I believe that is to go ahead when he was making these into fishing ponds. The leveling pipe would go ahead and fill up in one basin, drain into the next one, and then there's another pipe 2 feet above. I did take pictures of it yesterday. I did find the two between connecting 3 and 4. Basin 2, when John and I walked, we couldn't figure out why Basin 2 never had water in it, or how he was planning on transferring the water from 2 to 3. There is a leveling pipe in there, and there's an overflow pipe in there. Basin 2 has a hidden pipe from the well that filled it up. I found it the other day. He did have a shutoff valve put in to stop the water flow into Basin 2.
Okay, so what are you actually looking at from us?
Okay,
The main.
yes. Mainly, I would like to close Pandora's box. Do not do any, how should I say, cleaning out of them per se of any sludge or sediment. The erosion has taken some of the footage off of my side of the pond. The other side seems to be stable, but I'm fine with that. Let's clean the cattails up and budgetary purposes. But to get back to the original plan of this subdivision was to go ahead and make those fishing ponds. Whether or not you guys can change it or not, it's up to you. But in a letter dated February 6th of 2009 from Haas and Associates, they state that Basin 2 is at 114% of capacity, and Basin 3 is at 188% of capacity. That's why Basin 3 always has water in it, because the water level is supposed to be maintained at elevation 758.
So there's no outlet for these, right? They're just detention ponds, correct?
They are
There's no outlet that this water runs. This is all
No.
for your subdivision. The water stays there, correct?
correct. It does not go ahead and get released into the ditch or any kind of other drainage areas. So these are self-contained within the subdivision. But it shows on there that Basin 3 bottom elevation is at 756. And of course, I think John and John both, when we walked it, we went ahead and came to the conclusion that we saw the bottom of Basin 3, that it was 6 feet from the bottom of the basin to the top of grade. So we have 6 feet to play with in that area. But it showed on these drawings that I have, pond elevation is a 756. Normal water level in the basin is supposed to be at 758. So there's supposed to be 2 feet of water within the whole basin as a normal water level. And then it can go ahead and go up to level 760, which gives us 2.6 acres of runoff. And I've never seen it to the point that it's gotten more than 2 feet up to grade in the rainiest part of the season.
Okay, so if you don't have a problem, and you're saying you don't have a problem, what is it that you came here that you want us to do?
I want Pandora's box closed, and I want to get this back to normal. All right.
Sounds like it's back to normal if you ask me, because it's never been had a problem with water issues.
Exactly, for the past 15 years.
So what did you come here for, to ask us to do?
All I want you guys to do is to go ahead and burn the ponds and clean them up. That's it. And let us go ahead and get back to normal, and if we need to go ahead and use the well, because personally, I like having geese in the backyard. Ever since I've moved in, ever since I bought the property, we've had migrating geese come in. We've had as many as 22 geese in the pond swimming around. If you guys are fine with that, and if you don't need to change the classification from detention to retention, and this all goes away. My other issue is that if we hire Scipio Sunrise or Scipio Township Fire Department to come in, we'll go ahead and take some of the money. I think, John, if you had contact with the chief or anything to get,
I haven't talked to him yet
okay,
to see what it would cost.
but I talked to him, and I think they're pretty much in agreement that if you give them a $5,000 donation, they'll come in and monitor the burn to go ahead and get this all cleaned up. And we can go ahead and get back to normal.
$5,000.
Is there any money in the fund?
There's no need to, they're not collecting any money from it.
It'd be a lot cheaper than what happened back in, I think it was 21, when Mr. DeYoung decided to go ahead and burn Basin 2 himself, and he started the woods on fire. And it took him 2 days to go ahead and put it out.
Yeah, it is Eric.
Yeah.
It's Eric.
John, do we have any money? There's no fund for this, right?
Well, we have $26,000 roughly in that fund. I don't know if we've ever done any maintenance out there. We would have enough to cover the burn if that's part of our something that we're allowed to do.
See if Eric's in the office. Just have him come down here. So all you want us to do is burn it off
Correct.
and do nothing else.
No. See, because when I contacted the fire department a year ago, when the cattails became a problem and I just couldn't keep up with them anymore on my side, they said that they couldn't come on the property unless I had a letter from the developer stating they can come on the common ground.
And
Which,
they have the letter.
so you sent them the letter I sent
They
you?
have the letter.
Yeah, I've got
and
that.
The reason why the fire department hadn't come out because there was no burn ordinance. And that's why we're here.
Okay.
And they are drainage,
That's the letter.
they are not.
Go ahead and come forward.
Bill was there in the beginning.
My name's Bill Dillon, live at 9898 River Drive, Rochester. I've been helping Robin here. If you burn this off this year, what's gonna happen to the cattails? They're gonna come back next year. Is this gonna be a reoccurring charge? Is this an annual thing that we're gonna spend $5,000 on? Or would you rather invest in some spray and kill these cattails off so the source of the problem is gone?
Well, I contacted Aquatic Weed Control to go ahead and get a budget from them to come out and just take care of Basin 2 and 3. They haven't called me back yet. They must be
I'm working.
closed for the season. But yeah, if they
How many acres are these ponds?
Do you know the size?
I do.
Kill cattails.
About 80.
Down.
Basin 3 at the water level is 2.6. Basin 4. Basin 4 doesn't give an acreage. It just gives elevations. But it does have storage from 757 to 760. So that one has 3 foot
10 acres.
of storage.
Let me see your drawing.
I believe the entire footprint for all those retention ponds is right at 8 acres.
So,
Okay, we'll go with 8 acres. Good enough. 9.
yeah, so this is mine, that's mine, and that's mine. So that's why I'm trying to go ahead and clean up this many linear footage by myself just became too much. But here's basin 4, and as you see, these 2 pipes here at these elevations, this is the pond leveling pipe. So I found that, and
Just overflow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
an overflow.
It's just an overflow. It's a leveler to keep them level, to keep the water going. So you said something about there's a pump there. What's the pump for?
And
the pump was up in here.
What are we talking about?
It was filling the ponds.
Who was paying for that?
The entire footprint,
Pays the bill for the,
3-ton pond.
Lou DeYoung was.
Listen, but the entire
It
footprint.
was costing like $20 a month to go ahead and run the well, to go ahead and keep this one full, and the pump sits right in this area, and there was a pipe from here that ran into basin 2.
Well, if it's a detention pond, I don't understand why we are.
it's not
Pumping
a
water.
retention pond, it's a drainage. And I have the maps for that.
So if it's a drainage pond, why are we pumping water into it?
My point exactly.
We shouldn't be pumping water in this if it's supposed to be a drainage.
Runoff,
Exactly.
yes.
So it's not set up for a fish pond.
Correct,
It is set up for a detention pond to hold water
correct.
off of your subdivision.
Correct.
So the pump running anymore should not be happening.
Correct.
The pump is not running.
Okay. Because then you're going to come to us after you fill the pond, fill it up with water, and you're going to come to us and we got to do something with the water to get rid of it. And that's not going to be a good situation. So what you're looking for is for us to go in there and you want us to
burn it off.
burn it off. Is that what you're asking for?
And spray the cattails so they don't come back.
And spray the cattails.
Yeah, and that'd be the end of that problem.
Okay, County just went to go talk to Eric, so we'll hold on for just a second.
You put that big tile in right in. Last year, the city run that tile down here. Ainsley Creek, you just tie into it, do a little boy. But that's tough. But he said they don't need, they never get full, so. Yeah, but I mean, specifically.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like they are driving something.
Okay, we're waiting for the Scipio Township Fire Chief to come down here.
I'm
He was in
sorry.
the office upstairs, so.
I had to run out and go sign something real quick.
And just to clarify, the spraying would be an ongoing maintenance. It wouldn't do any
No,
good
it should be a total kill.
right, but not until after the burn. It wouldn't do any good to spray for 15 years.
And after the frost, it's gonna have to be closer to spring when those plants are starting to grow. That's when the time to spray them.
Right.
You got some for cattails?
Like I say, Mascare works well.
Are we,
There you go.
but do we continue to collect money?
But now would be the time to go ahead and do the burn,
Used it.
because basin 3 is frozen.
Eric, come on.
Eric, can you come up, please?
But you, did you want to let them grow first?
Right.
We're gonna
Kill them with it, then don't.
Are you you're the chief of Scipio, right?
Yes.
I thought so. I just want to make sure. Okay, so these guys are from the Scipio Sunrise, the urban drain. Have you discussed this with them about burning that off, or have you guys discussed any of this stuff?
I talked to your assistant chief, Matt Decker.
Okay.
Yes. I've had conversations with him over the past year.
And he's okay with this?
Yes.
And Luke used to have him before he passed away. He came out and burned.
The only fires I'm aware of, we were called out.
Speaking of
Speak in the mic, please, sir.
we've had some fires out there that we did not do, and it caused a lot of issues. So if you'll give me a few minutes to go chat with my assistant.
Well, you know the area better than what we do. Do you think you can burn those ponds off without creating a terrible problem?
Well, it didn't go so well the last time.
Well, that was
so
okay. That was because Lou started it himself,
okay.
and you guys. That was in 21.
Yeah, we had like 5 subsequent calls. I, off the cuff, am not in favor of it, but let me talk with my assistant chief real quick and see what he's got lined up. If you give me a couple minutes, I'll go chat with him and get right back to you.
Every year they came out and supervised him.
That's not true. I've been on the fire department for 27 years, ma'am. It's not true. I've never supervised a burn out there. So let me.
Okay, you go talk that over with Matt and come back and tell us what you find out. So we're going to table this for right now until Eric comes back. We're going to move on, and then we'll come back to this when he comes back. So we're going to move on to number 3, Davy Armour, the Rodman Maintenance Project bids.
It's in our pile. So, and this looks too.
This one is from Al Asep, estimate to clean.
Got to speak real quick.
Estimate to clean the Davy Armour, the Rodman Ditch Maintenance Project per spec provided, $50,000. Let me open the other bid too first then. And this is from Vero. Davy Armour, the Rodman Project, all the work to be performed as stated, $38,750. So we got 2 bids. Did you want to talk on this, Al?
Yes.
Okay.
Could I show the board some pictures?
Yes.
We have equipment to go in really tight locations. Because they're going to be going around houses and fences and stuff. So we have equipment to go in sensitive areas. Kind of let you guys see. We're going. Some of this like where you have to get right up against fences and move equipment, and it's going to be right tight against houses and fences. Some of the stuff that we're going to be doing, if we're accepted, that we're capable of doing.
Okay. Yeah, she can show Connie and Brad.
What is this?
Well, this must. So where was this picture at, John? That you showed me here? Where's this at?
Towards the.
Be south of Hupp Road where he was at there.
South Hupp Road?
Yeah, south of Hupp Road in there where they were at about, I suppose they're probably 150 feet in there. Them big old cottonwoods are about 90 foot tall.
So we got to come through here. What do we got here? Is there anything on the easements here?
Yeah, a lot of trees.
Well, is there? What we got? Fences, buildings? Anybody?
There's some fences. Yeah, there's a fence, a chain, or a barbed wire fence on the west side. There's
In the mic.
There's a small shed on
This is
towards Hupp Road. There's a chain link fence on one of the properties.
And this
So there's a few properties that have stuff in the easement
Dr. Smith's place.
that'll probably have to come out.
Well, I just want to know if they were on easement. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, yes.
The big thing is it might be easier to get
So who requested this to get dug?
take it out
Audrey Hagenow?
there. This was already clean, so all that, you scoop it and mow it. So I went and looked at that too. So
You did look at it?
Yeah.
Most of
it's-
the big stuffs.
Yeah, most of the big stuff. Everything could come out on the east side. When I talked to Elmer, and all that, because here you're going to get into more than when they dug that ditch. They piled all the dirt here and never bothered to level it off. So now all the trees are, and then there's a horse fence there. This is Dr. Smith's place here, and so honestly, it would be easier to take the 15 trees down on this side, on the east side, and bring it in, because this is farm fertilizers here. That's my cousin's place. This is all ours here, but it would be easier to take her off the east side there. I know Elma and I talked about that.
Okay. Is there money in the fund
to do that, or does he know that? Or?
He was just trying to raise little, you know.
All right, so
Yeah.
I've got 2 bids. There is money in the fund. Elmer,
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
good morning.
Gentlemen, ladies. Yeah, I went out and spent quite a bit of time looking at this because we had just cleaned under the railroad tracks going clear north and also putting a retention pond in
Clean all this.
up further north to help dry out all the fields and everything out. So we spent quite a bit of time, and I've spoke to several of the landowners right there, and I actually have permission from Doc Smith and his wife to actually enter their property because they have never allowed anyone to enter their property on the last several cleanings of the main ditch. So I already have permission from them on that. And since we do have the special machines to cut the stumps out of the ground, we can remove them without hurting the ditch banks. And we can remove large trees extraordinarily fast and cut them up. Nobody ever has to get out of a machine with a chainsaw. Nobody has to be on the ground. Everything's done from the cab of a loader or an excavator. So very seldom do we ever have a guy on the ground with it. So I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen, but it's very seldom.
He's doing work for it.
So, you know, I feel comfortable with what I bid. Won't have to come back to the board and go, oh my God, I need to ask for more. So it's, you know,
And you can get that done yet this spring?
yeah, we looked at it, and I already talked to Doc and his wife about it, and they're gonna have to move their horses and donkeys out because the fence has about 15 trees on top of the fence now, and the horses won't come out because the trees are covering the fence. So we got to remove that, and they're going to move their horses to another pen. But I think we should be able to. I don't know if we'd be able to. Should be able to do it by the end of April, I would say. We want to do it because it is a pasture. We don't want to get in there when it's soupy. And right now, with 20 inches of frost in the ground, that's what we're watching. Right now would be a good time to go in. Frozen ground, that don't mean nothing. I can cut right through 40 inches of frost. It don't matter. So we could easily remove stumps and trees right now. And we'll remove every single stump on the upper bank on the south side so we can clearly get the excavators through without walking on stumps. And we're going to cut every tree up with a machine and pile it so that they're neat and clean. So, and that's what they want. They don't want ginormous branches sticking everywhere. I can cut a tree up that's 100 feet tall, 6 feet in diameter in about 15 minutes and never leave the cab. So, and we don't leave logs this big. We crack them so that
Are you just stacking stuff, or are you going to burn it?
we can't burn. I recommend not. We got a fertilizer plant right there. And fertilizer likes to burn. You get an amber in it, and I don't think they're comfortable with a burning right there. I did talk to John about that too. And unless you guys are adamant about burning it, I really don't want to burn next to a fertilizer plant. I mean, they're not building the fertilizer there, but they're storing it. So fertilizer is somewhat flammable. So that's, I think, why the revision was put in, that there would be no burning. Now there is a chance that we could, light a small fire and burn the lighter brush maybe, but depending on where the wind's blowing, if it goes towards that fertilizer, that would be scary. That was the reason that I don't want to burn it.
Small stuff.
I don't want to be responsible for Indiana's worst fertilizer explosion, so yeah, I don't want to do that.
I'd like to ask the other company, what was your intention to do with the brush?
So, Alan with Allsouth Excavating, right here, I don't have a revised. It says within the 75-foot easement, burn and bury. So I bid it to burn and bury. Yeah, if you're looking at the map, I think.
Al, I did send out a revision that changed that.
Okay, looking at the map here, I think there's adequate spot either here or here that you can make a burn pile. So I was planning on burning.
If we need to burn it, we can burn it. It ain't no problem. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, you know? It's up to you guys. If you want it burnt, we can burn it. No problem.
So I guess
I was just going by the revisal.
if you didn't get the revise on,
I think was sent out on
it's gonna take more time.
February 4th, I think.
But he's gonna burn it. He's gonna burn it. He said if we want to burn it, we can burn it.
So, thank you.
Thanks.
So we have to establish whether we want it burnt or not.
Yeah, so I think the first thing we gotta do is establish if we want this burned or not. Personally, I think it'd be better to burn it. There's enough, this is south, right? Mm-hmm. There's enough room here to the south that a lot of that stuff can be moved all the way to the south here and get burned.
Yeah, and they can move it, and if he, he can even go a little.
He can even
south
go
to the fertilizer plant there and burn.
Yeah.
They go out in the horse pasture and burn if they need to. There's enough room back there in that corner where it could be. But I mean, common sense would say I wouldn't burn it straight across from the fertilizer plant.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah.
he can move it south a little bit, and there's enough. There's some old piles to the south of that from the last time the ditch was cleaned. It could be all piled there and taken care of, but that's not the Davy Arm. That would be the Ridge Run, isn't it? It's the next one that runs, or Breckenridge that runs through there. That right there where they meet, right there. That could be, everything could be piled and burnt right there, because that's kind of a woods to the south of where that the two ditches meet. That's a woods there, so there would be plenty of catch it on the right day.
Okay. All right, so we got one bid for $38,750 and we have the other bid for $50,000. Do I have a motion? And we're gonna go ahead and, I guess, make your motion that if you wanna burn some of it. Oh wait, I got a question before we do this. These homeowners here, along here, are we gonna have to contact them? So is that gonna hold up the project, or are we gonna?
Yeah, we're gonna have to contact them. And send out a letter to the ones that have.
Well, for him to get this done by April 30th, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So, is there a way we can contact them personally? Or you don't want to do that, or send them?
I mean, you could, it's February 10th, you could get the notices out. When would he start the work? You just want to be done by April 30th. I mean.
Yeah, well, if it's sloppy though, I mean,
right.
It's gonna start thawing here pretty soon.
Right, but you get notice out like immediately to the property owners.
Can we get that done here in the next day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of that. So
then I'll make the motion to go with Vero Services, but that would be including burning it, moving it to the south end of the ditch, and that would be for $38,750.
okay, motion on the floor to
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. All right, Matt and Eric's back in here, so can you guys come to the podium, please? We'll go back to Scipio Sunrise Urban Drain.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
We do a lot of maintenance on retention bases, detention basins. We have equipment to mow the brush, with excavators, mulchers and stuff. We normally don't burn cattails and stuff. So like we will mulch them down, and then we have equipment to turn the basin over, basically get back to the original specs so it can drain and stuff again. So, and then after that, then you would hire someone to go and spray. So I know you guys are talking about all this burning and stuff and the concern, just as there's another option, if you guys ever want to talk about, I can go out there and give an assessment.
Okay, all right, thank you, Al.
Morning.
Morning, Matt, how are you?
Good, you?
Good. All right, so we're talking about Scipio Sunrise, the urban drain. They're wanting to do some maintenance out there, wanting us to burn it off or do something to get rid of some of the cattails. You guys know the area better than what we do. What are you thinking on burning this off or not burning it off or?
So when we originally contacted, they asked us if we would. At that point, it was the developer. He was going to contact them, and I think last I talked to him, he said the developer never got back to him. I said the next thing that we would need then would be all the property owners in that area that butt up to that own it would need to sign a letter, and we could see if we could file for a permit. But last I've heard, we haven't gotten any of that done, so we haven't moved forward with any of it. We've never burned out there before. We've had some brush fires out there when it's been dry and started, but we've never ever went out there. In the 20 years, before I've been on the fire department 20 years, that was a cornfield when I started. So since that's all been done, we've never went out there and burned anything.
How long ago was that when they first notified you? Because the original builder was that Lou, the young, and I don't think he even lives in the area.
I want to say 2 or 3 years ago is when they called me the first time, and then he recently reached out, I'd say this in the last month, and asked if we'd look at it again, and I told him the same thing then. He said he was meeting with you guys, but we'd still need all the landowners and everybody to be in agreement before we could even look at it.
But it's not a viable option because that would just take care of it for 1 year.
And
After we burn it off, we'd have to spray it. We'd have to.
That's what we said
spray
too,
it, take
is
care of it. So
burning it's going to be a one-time thing. It's going to come back.
It's just get rid of the stuff this time, and
because I think he also talked about cutting it at one time and spraying it, but
May I jump in?
why, of course,
I'm Gene Schwartz.
you need to come to the mic.
Come on up.
I'm the one that's been contacted.
Come on up so they can hear you.
I'll put it out for bid.
Okay, I think we just put it out there.
Nice to meet you.
Same here.
So, but again, how do we?
Yes, I am the one that has been contacting Matt.
We're not going to burn it. We're going to let him. What Al said. Just let him see what that bid comes in first.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess we can sit and talk about this all day, whether we're going to burn or not burn, what we're going to do. I think the first thing we need to do is I'm going to ask for a motion from someone on the board that we put this out for bid to do the to be able to cut it and maybe possibly turn the bottom of the ponds and see what that would cost. So we'll put that out for bids and hopefully have bids back here by next month.
So moved.
Second.
Spraying it too. Oh, and then we'll put, after we get that done, see where we're at, and then we'll put it out for bids for spraying. I guess I'll add that to it, but we're not going to put the bids out for spraying until we get figured out what we're doing with it beforehand. So I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
Thank you, gentlemen, for
Thank you,
coming
guys.
down and talking to us.
All right, we'll move on to number 3, Little Kankakee River Tree Removal Project.
Yeah, I received this complaint from Dale Tuholsky about a lot of trees in the Little Kankakee there south of the railroad near Stillwell. I went out there and looked at it, and there's probably a couple dozen trees in the water.
For the sake of this meeting, excuse me, for the sake of this meeting, could you guys move out into the hallway?
Can you guys move outside, please?
Excavators and 2 trucks.
Elmer.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So it's about a quarter-mile stretch. So I would ask the board if we could put a motion to put this out for bids to clean the trees out of the.
Is there money in the fund?
Yes.
Motion.
Can I?
Go ahead, Mark.
If there's more trees there to remove, is there money there to remove them while he's there? That might be falling in next year.
Yeah, there's a few leaners too. Not too many. Most of the ones that are leaning are already fallen into the water. As you can see, Here's a picture of the worst areas right there. It's pretty much blocking the.
Because a lot of the cost might be to move in, so if he's there, see what it is to get rid of anything else that might be a problem.
Okay.
And now it's time to do it when the hole's sitting there.
Yeah. I don't know if you need to put that in 2 separate bids. I don't know how much money's in the account or how you want to handle that, but.
Somebody's going to have to go out there and mark the trees then, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
If you think they're leaning, it's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to have to go mark them.
Yeah. I'd have to go back out and then see how many. 'Cause I don't recall how many were leaning when I was out there.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Yes, that's a motion.
Your motion is you want to do it 2 separate bids to remove the trees and see how much more it's going to be for the leaners?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess if there's enough leaners to rebid or to have a separate bid, I guess. If there's 2 or 3, no. If there's 100, yes.
Okay.
So we have a motion to that. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. McKellips ditch project.
Yeah, I brought this up because last month we tabled it because we didn't have enough money in the account to accept any of the bids. And I did some research and I went back to 1993, and we've basically been borrowing from the GDIF on every single project that we've done on McKellips. And when I was asked the board's opinion is, would you be willing to go back and reassess this area to see if we can maybe up the funds that we're getting for this? I mean, it would require a surveyor's report.
How many years have we been borrowing off of it?
30?
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to have that reassessed.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to have the McKellips ditch reassessed. Do I have a second?
So I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that means we need to hire a surveyor.
Yes.
So how do we want to handle this? I had a bid last month from Tony on what it was going to cost us per hour for him to do it, and for him to do any work. We've only got enough money in the account for about 8 hours. So how would we like to proceed with this?
I think we don't have a choice. I think we're just gonna have to pay for it, and then this board is gonna have to go before the council. I mean, I'd be willing to go with someone and request more money. Council's obviously aware that we're in this type of a situation.
Okay, so do I have a motion to have Tony proceed with this?
I'll make a motion that we have Tony proceed with this.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Just Dinah Jones, I just wanted to say, that Christine Kyle is also a surveyor now. She's, I believe, so just in case you need another person.
Okay. All right, thank you. White ditch maintenance project.
I put this on the agenda, and I'm probably going to put it on the agenda for the rest of the year, just in case somebody has anything to add on this or any updates on anything they happen to be working on. I don't have anything for myself, but I don't know if anyone else does.
Have we worked on working on sending the letters out, so we're getting ahead of the ball game here?
I've got the letters, but I haven't got them updated. I've got the old letters we used, but I haven't updated them yet for the current homeowners.
Okay, I think before you send those out, I probably would like to read that.
Sure.
Because I'm sure I'm going to get phone calls.
Sure.
There are going to be phone calls, and if I could make a suggestion, as you know, I'm also Michiana Shores Town Council attorney, so there's obviously communication or conversations happening up there already. So before this turns into a lot of disinformation or misinformation, Looking proactively, I would suggest that the board, maybe in conjunction with the town of Michiana Shores, schedule a workshop sometime in the spring. I know that's going to be difficult for a lot of you guys to get that with your planning schedules. So the more we plan ahead, the more likely we can find an agreeable date. With the town council, it'll be a little trickier. They're elected officials, so if they have multiple members attend, there'll be public notice requirements. So if we can pick a date in March, they meet the same day you meet. They just meet in the evening. So your next meeting's March 11th. Their next meeting will also be March 11th. So maybe sometime either just before then or just after then. So that,
What time's your meetings at?
7 o'clock.
Meetings take place at 7 p.m.
Oh, mamma mia.
So we don't have to worry about having to, if we have more than 2 people there, it's not an issue with us, right?
No, but it'll already be public notice. So, I mean, there'll be a public notice of the meeting regardless.
Okay.
So
do we want?
Because it's a workshop, all of us can attend,
right.
Yeah.
as many of us.
So do we want to maybe have a workshop on the 11th at 6 o'clock so you guys can discuss it at your board meeting?
Well, it would be, that's fine. This, it would have to be by us though, rather than here because.
Yes.
Doesn't have time to get back. Either that or we could do it well, I guess early in the morning would make it really early for everybody, so.
We can all drive
But-
the mission.
Well,
I'd say do it there.
He's asking,
Yeah, we can do it.
He said it would be a good idea to do it too, so I spoke with Brad. So we would be happy to do whatever day or however.
Can you come up to the mic? Can you come up to the mic, please?
Sorry. I'll introduce myself again, Dinah Dormbers, Michiana Shores. We will work together with the council, with the drainage board, whatever is a better solution for you guys to show up somewhere, either here or out in our town. So.
Well, I think it'd be just as easy for us to come up to you guys at 6 o'clock on.
Okay,
March
well, if
11th.
it's not that much, thank you very much. That sounds great. Awesome. Okay.
So is everybody in agreement with that?
Is this just informational for those people to ask
The
the
information
questions?
workshop on what we're going to do and how we're going to handle it with the trees and the brush,
The walking path and all that.
walking path and all that stuff. Because everything that's on our easement is probably going to have to go.
Can we actually walk it quick before we meet with them? So
Yeah.
I personally haven't seen it.
We can pretty much drive it. You
Drive
go
it,
with me.
okay.
We can drive it and look at it. We don't need to walk it because you can drive around the roads and
Yeah, but-
see what you need to see.
By that point, should still be enough.
Yeah, it should be enough
5:30,
daylight,
6
yeah.
o'clock. Yeah.
Did anybody reach out to Berrien County? Did we get anything on that?
What's that?
Did we reach out to Berrien County, their side down to the lake?
Did you make contact with them, John?
No, I did not. I was still working with the administrative side of setting up the department. I was told there's no money for any travel up there. I did not have a phone number or person to contact. So I have not.
Google it.
I'm sorry?
You can Google it.
Do you think we should rely on Google for?
Calling a county office.
I see. Okay, I see what you mean.
You can't call it. I mean, how else would you get
I
hold of another surveyor in another?
Well, I do for Indiana surveyors. I meet with them quite often, but I have not pursued the matter because there was no funds available for traveling up there.
Oh, you were told last meeting to make a phone call or to get a hold of somebody up there.
I
So
told both of us, and
just you. You're the surveyor.
You're the surveyor.
You're the surveyor, so you need to do this. So here's the thing: before this meeting on March 11th, you need to get a hold of somebody up there, and you need to get in contact with me so that I know what's going on.
all right.
And I want that done before that meeting, and we can invite them to come to that meeting on March 11th if they'd like.
The March 11th, 6 p.m. meeting. Sure,
Yes.
I plan to be up there, and I've located a source of funds for taking care of that.
Thank you.
So are you looking for travel, even like to go to this? If we're gonna go to Michiana Shores,
It's because of the volume of travel. Yes, because there's meetings to NERC, there's meetings to meet with the Scipio Sunrise people. It adds up to about 600 miles a month.
but unfortunately, that's the job of a surveyor.
At the last meeting, it was suggested that would come out of the after-tax income of the surveyor. that does not seem to be reasonable to anyone outside of the boards here.
Okay, so getting back to the white ditch maintenance.
Okay.
We're gonna set this up for March 11th at 6 o'clock. And can you make sure John gets the addresses so we can email them out to us so we know where we're coming to?
Right, okay.
And then Al, he was the one that was awarded the bid, right? You were awarded that bid?
Yeah, so like,
Yeah,
We would like you to be there if you can,
guys,
so that way everybody's on the same page.
tell everybody that we're breasting dish or like,
Yeah,
I mean, we did it multiple times before.
yeah. But I just want to make sure that way if there's anybody there, you know, and is there somehow that you can get this out to your town that we're going to have this meeting?
absolutely. We use
So-
that. We have a website. We send emails to our residents, everybody who signed up for emails. You know, we notify by mail those who have not signed up for emails.
Okay. Well, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure there's people there because
Oh, yeah, we
when
will.
he starts, I don't want there to be an issue with him if
No,
he's
no,
got
no.
to start
You will
taking stuff
have you
down.
will have people there. You may not have the whole because we don't ever get everybody to show
Yes.
up, but there will be a good group of people. You know, who'll come in for sure.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So is this gonna be like a question answer, or I have to like justify why we're doing this?
We're not going to have to justify anything. So we don't have to justify anything. We just want you to be there so you hear the concerns. I don't even think you'll have to talk. We'll probably pretty much run it because their stuff is on our easement. It's got to get removed. That was their fault when they put it there. So we're going to come through and dig the ditch, and we'll just kind of go from there. So,
Okay.
alrighty.
Well, just to be clear, that path was done with the approval of the ditch. So the nature path, that's our big thing.
We understand that, but
Yeah,
it's still
okay.
it is still on our easement. So
Oh, no, I understand. Oh, no, I understand. I understand it.
we're gonna have to walk an excavator on that walking
Yeah.
path. We're gonna put dirt there, but you know that I guess as a board we're gonna have to discuss what we're doing there because that's really not our problem. That
Yeah.
you guys put a walking path on our easement. You know everything's subject to get moved when it's on
I
an easement.
understand. We understand that part. My husband and I ourselves signed to hold harmless with when the county has to come in, okay? Onto our land. So I understand all that. All I'm saying is that when you said you guys put it out, I said, wait a minute, I wasn't involved on it then, but I do know that the Port County Drainage Board was involved in the development of that path. So
And-
it's all of us put it together, in other words, not just.
The convenience with this board is you guys will actually meet again before that workshop. You'll have the meeting that morning.
Yes.
March 11th. So if possible, maybe go visit if people haven't before your meeting on morning of March 11th.
Okay.
And then we can have further discussion then and walk into the meeting in the evening uniformed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on the white ditch? And you're gonna get a hold of Berrien County and you're gonna get back to me before the 11th.
Yes. Do you have your phone number on the, I need to have your contact
Okay.
information.
John's got it, or I'll get it with you before the end of the meeting. Anything else in the white ditch?
Hey, Jeff, before we go to the bank spraying, can I go back to the Little Kankakee River tree removal? Because when I was out there and walked it, Elmer was with me, and Elmer might have an idea how many leaning trees were out there. Do you recall how many, besides the ones that were in the river, how many were actually leaning?
We had one major cottonwood, probably 40 plus inch in diameter, leaning probably about like that. So I don't know, 40 degree or whatever it'd be, leaning over the river right there by the bridge. And then further downstream, we had one on the opposite side of the river, which would be what side? That'd be on the west side of the river.
Yeah.
We had one dead one hanging into some trees that was broke off. The roots had come out into the river. And then we had one other tree for sure. So probably 3 major trees for sure. And then the one that's up under the river, under the bridge. So
Okay.
those, and then we had bigger ones up further. So yeah.
Okay. So do you think that would justify a separate bid, or can that just be rolled into the other one?
I think just roll it in.
Roll it in, yeah.
Roll it in, and then you mark those trees. It's got to be removed.
Okay.
So you might have a problem getting to the one side. Well, yeah, to the south or west side.
You cross the tracks, right, and walk along the tracks and get over there?
Oh yeah, you could walk up the track and come around, yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
reach it with an excavator though to remove it?
You're gonna need a long stick. That's all there is to it. And not a little piddly 50 footer. You know, you're gonna need something with some reach.
A bigger machine, a lot more money. So, but it's
Okay, I think just bid it then. Let's just bid it then, all as one.
Okay.
Somehow mark the trees that you think need to be taken care of.
Okay.
That way it's all just one bid.
We need to have a new motion to that effect to bid it all as one.
Please, can I have that?
I make a motion that we bid it all as one, including the leaning trees.
And
I second that. I made that motion.
Okay, so Mark rescinded his first motion. Now we have a new motion to go ahead and bid the Little Kankakee as all one project. I gotta have a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passed.
Okay.
Bank spraying.
2 bids.
Was this all the banking spraying put together, or what? Was it everything we were doing all put together in one bid? Okay, first bid's from Heritage Drone. So did everybody do this the same?
All at once. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna do
This is all for me.
Rodman Ditch, 7.95 miles from Heritage Drone, $5,125. And from Dalton's Chemical Vegetation Control, the Rodman Ditch, $9,828.
He's saying Rodman 75.
5125. 991 or something from Dalton.
Okay, for the O'Hara Rice, 7.7 miles, Heritage Drone, $5,000. $9,515.14 from the Dalton Chemical Vegetation. So, is somebody from Dalton's here? No. The Bull Ditch, 5.74 miles, Heritage Drone, $3,750. Bull Ditch from Dalton's, $7,101.90. And the Little Kankakee, 4.3 miles, is $3,058 from Heritage Drone and $5,382 from Dalton's. Now, Heritage Drone is going to use crossbow and glyphosate and 2,4-D with a surfactant, and it does not say what Dalton's is going to use. So are you going to use a drone, or what do you?
Jake Wetzel, Heritage Drone Service. So I drove all 25.75 miles of the ditch, identified some sensitive areas. There's blueberries, which will be hand sprayed around the blueberries. Some of those blueberries are really close to that ditch. I'd say 50% of the ditch is going to be drone. Probably 35 to 40% is going to be ATV, UTV, and then there's a good 10% of the ditch that'll have to be somebody by foot walking with a backpack sprayer. So there's some parts of that ditch that were impassable. You couldn't get in it with drone or ATV. So 50% of it will be pretty easy running, and then the other 50% will be more challenging. But yeah, we identified all the sensitive areas. The 2,4-D we're going to use is called Freelex. It's an aquatic 2,4-D. The growers on the board know there's a 2,4-D is an old formulation. The 2,4-D esters work really well, but they tend to sit there and drift later on, so we're not going to use ester. This Freelex is a kind of a new formulation of 2,4-D where it doesn't want to move. Once you spray it, it stays there, and it's going to protect any sensitive things in the area, especially the blueberries, but also if these ditches go through anything that's non-GMO or anything that's specialized or that might be affected. So it's a good, safe product, and it is labeled for aquatic. So.
Okay, the only thing I don't like with this is that we're going to use glyphosate, then we're going to kill the grass.
So the glyphosate will only be used for the Phragmites because 2,4-D will not kill the Phragmites. So the areas that have patches of Phragmites, so that's why the glyphosate's kind of as needed. I predicted, X amount of gallons of glyphosate per mile. So there will be areas where the Phragmites have just taken over maybe 500 foot or 200 foot of ditch. So it'll only be as needed, minimized as much as possible. Because nothing's going to kill those Phragmites other than glyphosate.
That's snakeweed. Phragmites, is that snakeweed?
What do you call them? Phragmites?
Phragmites.
Is that like the snakeweed, the green stuff?
No, they're a non-native invasive species. That's like the number one thing we spray for government. They just kind of grow an area and then take over the entire ditch. You definitely want them killed. But I'd say out of that 25.75 miles of ditches, there might have been 10%, 15% or less of Phragmites.
Okay.
So you're going to be changing this mix as you go along in the different parts of it.
Yes, because some of it's going to be drone, some of it's going to be UTV, ATV, some of it's going to be backpack sprayer. Some of those ditches are part of the ditches are impassable.
And the only other thing, I don't know what they're going to use because they don't have it on here, but I'm not a fan of crossbow. I always mix crossbow with something else, and I can't think of what it is I use. Because I just think it does a better job when you mix it.
Okay.
So,
it works. So like the
crossbow is just a burner. It doesn't usually ever just kill as well as the other stuff does. I mean, I use a crossbow to do that.
Yeah.
We didn't specify what we wanted to use in this, did we?
No, we didn't.
Well, that's where the problem's at. Okay.
Has most of these ditches been sprayed last year?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there's not big vegetation on them. You're not killing big trees.
No.
It's mostly weeds and.
There's a good amount of brush. Yeah. That's why we put the crossbow in there.
Let's get on the brush.
Okay, so if it's just little stuff, it'll probably work then.
Yes.
Significantly.
Okay.
Mostly have.
All right. So, and the other thing is too, we want to be sensitive crops, tomatoes, blueberries, whatever. We want to make sure that I just soon not spray along there if there's going to be an issue. So.
You want to send this down so they can see the breakdown?
Yeah, here you guys want to see the breakdown of what that stuff is.
Does the owner have the right? The owner have the right to kind of say no?
No, they don't.
Okay.
I just was checking because there's been some issues there up and down the ditch for me. I know, and that's been kind of a sensitive area there. I just want to make sure. So
We've never used drones before, though, correct?
No.
So some of those areas.
No, we talked about that before too. We wanted them to let us know if they have a problem with the property owner along that path that they're spraying. Because we ended up getting some change back on our last spray because they refused to let them spray some of the areas.
So what did we ever decide on that? How we were going to handle that, Brad?
Yeah. So in the future, we basically told them that we put them on notice that the spraying is going to happen, right? And if some property owner refuses access to our contractor, then we put them on notice that they're liable for any maintenance or anything going forward on that. Not that we're encouraging them to not allow, because you have the right, and your contractor has the right to enter your easement.
Right. Anytime.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but I think we wanted the contractors to let us know if they had a problem too, was the thing.
Yeah. So if you're out there spraying and somebody tells you can't go through there, you need to contact us. You haven't got a word of the bid yet, but you need to be in contact with us when you're going out there so we can keep tabs on what's going on so that everything gets sprayed. So
certainly.
All right. So do I have a motion to accept the bids from Heritage Drone?
Motion to accept the bids from Heritage Drone for the bank spraying for 2025.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All right, we're going to move on to Rodman Ditch, Davy Arm, Chad?
Yeah, John and I had talked about that earlier, and he had mentioned it to me, and we had discussed it. We're getting a kind of an extreme silt buildup to the south of the ditch that we're cleaning here. Out kind of in the ordnance plant every year, the DNR will back the water up out there to let it flow across. They've got a dam out there, and I know previously I had spoke to Elmer. The last time they cleaned it out, they had talked like 500 truckloads of silt that had to be hauled out of there. It was kind of a large project. It ended up not really going through like that, but it is all pretty much dammed up again out there. So I don't think there's enough time to take on a project like that this year, but I think it's something that some of my neighbors have expressed concern about. A couple of the farms just to the north of this have lost considerable crops. I know directly outside of the ordnance plant here, they had said that close to, like here, the picture here that Mark's got there, there's close to 40 acres there this year that pretty much flooded out. You can see the water line, how high that was, and that's never been before because the water's getting backed up coming this way. They're going to have to come up with a solution out there that you can't dam water up to flood, a pond on the other side. It needs to run straight through. If they're going to have to they're going to have to pump that, because all this silt, everything here, that's a 2-year accumulation there. So, this is something that, and then I'm just straight back to the northeast of that yet, and we've had considerable plugging and everything too. But this out here, they'll get that all the way up to the top of that 8-foot culvert there, so it fills these 3 up and then goes across to their pond, and that has backed up sand like, there's 1.5 miles of sand in there. So
The state's doing this?
yeah, that's it. And see, and years ago, the county drainage board got involved in this probably 30 years ago, and they had determined that's a county ditch, so we can maintain that ditch. So that's but for them doing what they're doing, filling that up there, they're gonna have to come up with a better solution than gravity, there, because it backs too much sand up. I had spoke to Elmer, and I had talked about it once, and you were the one that said 500 truckloads, weren't you?
There were 3 of us companies that bid it right at 500 truckloads, and there was only approximately 37 hauled out.
And see, and they, the Army Corps doesn't want that dirt there, so they have to haul that all out of there when they clean that, so that's a lot of extra costs there.
This has to be hauled out?
Oh, where's that one at? No, that's actually on my side here. This is through us to the north. Here, they hauled all this out last time. So they have to haul, road. Yeah, they had to haul all that up, and the Army Corps wanted it to go, so we let them dump it in one of the fields up there. So they had 3 miles. It was about 3 miles they hauled all that dirt.
It was, I want to say it was 2.5.
Yeah, so to haul everything out. So there's extra cost involved in that every few years, with them backing this up there. Yeah, they ought to be able, if they wanted to do this, they could put a pump in there and pump it across.
We're gonna be done.
The sand is still gonna flow. And then it gets, because the Kankakee River's just south of this.
I'll make sure we're done.
Would be 1 mile maybe, so.
Yeah, it runs from Hupp Road to the river, I believe, is 2.5 miles.
Yeah, and then the culvert where they dam that up is halfway through about?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this would be Bellini's here, and this is 1 mile through them, back to the game preserve, and like I said, this is a 2-year accumulation of sand there. And
Okay, so how do you want us to proceed on this?
well, I guess my question is how do we prevent this from happening every 10 years or something? Because there's a lot of extra cost associated now with hauling all that sand out of there. It would take as much money to haul all the sand out of 2.5 miles as what it's going to take to clean the whole 7.5 miles of ditch there, wouldn't it?
Might be more.
Yeah, maybe more.
Trucking's not cheap.
Right. So do we need to address this situation to say here we're going to have to? We can't dam up a county ditch to back that up? Is that something we're going to have to do in the future, or?
Who is it that dams it up? The state?
Yeah, the DNR. Yeah.
John, you want to try to get a hold of
Probably Reed
Does this need to be?
out there at,
the DNR and see what we can
make it.
and
That's
ask them
not
to come to the next meeting so we can discuss this a little bit and maybe try to have a plan.
Next week.
Yeah, but I mean, if they
All right,
got
so-
flow, they can make that happen.
Do I need that in a motion or no? I don't need that in a motion, do I? Okay, so John's gonna reach out to the DNR to have him come to the next meeting so we can kind of discuss this again.
Reed's probably who you'll talk to.
Yeah, that's who I usually get in contact with.
Yeah.
Okay. Monthly reports, Hudson Lake. There is another meeting in here that we need to be done by 10 o'clock, so.
Georgette Joyce, 7299 East Hudson Point Lane, New Carlisle. So the toll hall had battery issues, but we've resolved those. So we're able to measure the levels of the lake again. The lake's around 4 to 5 inches. There's no incidents. We did apply for layer grants for the in treating the invasive species as well as another judging plan grant. And we'll probably get the results of that maybe before the next meeting, but certainly after that. And then we had to postpone the judging effort, ran into equipment issues and so forth, so they'll restart in July. And then the drain agreement is finally moving through the new signatures that it needs because of the new administration. So hallelujah, that's finally moving on. Any questions?
Any questions? All righty, thank you. Brad?
No additional report.
John?
Yes, I'm making very slow progress on getting settled, much slower than I would like. One big hangup is I don't have the bond yet as surveyor. It should have been back in December. It's not done yet. And I can't really get out and do much without getting that insurance in place.
How much, what's that got to do with the drainage board?
That has to do with me getting involved in pretty much anything of significance. I'm still communicating with the staff. I did bring up the white ditch during the month more than once. It didn't go anywhere. So maybe I need to do a little bit of discipline to get a little more activity when I bring up a subject. My feeling.
Thank you.
Office, nothing to do with drainage board.
Okay. I got nothing on the joint boards because we haven't met yet with any of those. We got a meeting next week with the 4 county. So I have nothing on that. Claims?
Yes, we have. We have one claim. It's for the Travis Arm and the Rodman Ditch. Elmer had done this, repaired the tile out there. It was $11,325.60. He did an amazing job on that project.
I was in contact with Elmer on that too, and want to thank you for getting that done and getting it done in a timely fashion, Elmer. So, do I have a motion to pass that, to approve that claim?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment? Any public comment? All right, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting. Next meeting will be March 11th at 8:30. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I spoke to, I think I sent a text to you guys about.
Yeah, we're gonna do that after the meeting. We're not gonna do that here. You're good. Okay, so, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you.